Senator Specter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Gonzales, I direct the remarks in my opening statement to you. Your photo appears in the morning press with the caption, "I accept full responsibility." Let me suggest to you that that is not enough. The question is whether the Department of Justice is functioning as it must in order to protect the vital interests of the American people. Next to the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice has the major responsibility for protecting American security, investigation of terrorism, dealing with drug sales, dealing with organized crime, violent crime. And the issues relating to the resignations of the U.S. attorneys has placed a very heavy cloud over the department. There is evidence of low morale, very low morale, lack of credibility, candidly, your personal credibility. The department is dysfunctional as so many items have arisen where there is a substantial basis to conclude that there's a preoccupation with the investigation on the resignations of the attorneys. And I have asked you both formally in this room and in our private conversations to give us an explanation as to why each one of these U.S. attorneys was asked to resign, and that has not been done. We have sought an accommodation to question the remaining witnesses, and I believe that the administration has not had any significant degree of flexibility in trying to work it out with congressional oversight. I believe we're prepared to concede that there won't be an oath because there are penalties otherwise. Prepared to concede that they could be in private, although they ought to be public. It's the public's business. Prepared to concede that both houses wouldn't have to engage in the questioning of these witnesses, that a representative group from the House Judiciary Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee, bipartisan, bicameral, would do the questioning. But not to have a transcript, I think, is patently unreasonable. But I'm prepared even to do that if we could get on with this matter, reserving the right for Congress to come back if the informal interviews are unsatisfactory, then to proceed with our authorities under subpoenas. And we are met with the response, no, if you question these witnesses under our unilateral terms, you can't come back later. Well, that's simply going too far. I do not believe that the Congress has the right to give up our power. We cannot delegate them. We cannot abrogate them. They are our responsibilities. And we cannot give them up as part of an arrangement with the administration. And now we have a very remarkable turn of events. We now have the indication, announcement, that the administration will preclude the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia from pursuing a contempt citation. Now, if that forecloses a determination of whether executive privilege has been properly imposed, then the President, in that manner, can stymie congressional oversight by simply saying there's executive privilege. Since we can't take it to court, the President's words stand, and the constitutional authority and responsibility for congressional oversight is gone. Now, that is carrying this controversy to really an incredible level. If that is to happen, the President can run the government as he chooses, answer no questions, say it's executive privilege, you can't go to court, and the President's word stands. Now, we've been exploring some alternatives, and I'll be asking you about them. The Attorney General has the authority to appoint a special prosecutor. You're recused, but somebody else could do it. You're recused because you know all of the principles. You have a conflict of interest. Your recusal is understandable. But doesn't the president have an identical conflict of interest? Can the president foreclose the Congress from moving ahead and making an effort and having a judicial determination as to the propriety of the claim of executive privilege? We also have the alternative of convening the Senate and having a contempt citation and trying it in the Senate. That might be productive. We could use the precedent of the Alcee Hastings impeachment proceeding where a committee took over, had it in this room. I was the vice chairman. Senator Bingaman was the chairman. So he wouldn't take up the full time of the Senate in moving for a contempt citation. But we're going to have to move ahead on that, Mr. Attorney General. We have so many items that every week a new issue arises. And I sent you letters advising you that we would be pursuing these matters at this hearing. One is on the legality for the terrorist surveillance program. You said categorically there has not been any serious disagreement about the program. And yet we know from former Deputy Attorney General James Comey exactly the opposite is true. This is what he testified. When you and the Chief of Staff went to extract from then Attorney General Ashcroft, who was in the hospital under sedation, approval of the program. Mr. Comey, quote, "I was very upset. I was angry. I thought I had just witnessed an effort to take advantage of a very sick man." I'll be asking you about that, giving you a chance to explain that. Although it bedevils me to see any conceivable explanation for your saying no disagreement and you're going to the hospital of the Attorney General, who's no longer in power, he's delegated his authority, and seek to extract approval from him. Seems to me that it is just decimating, Mr. Attorney General, as to both your judgment and your credibility. But that's not all. The list goes on and on. I wrote to you about the death penalty case, where U.S. Attorney Paul Charlton could only get 5 to 10 minutes of the time of the Deputy Attorney General who talked to you. You wouldn't talk to him. We'll give you a chance to explain that. Patriot Act, you testified repeatedly, no problems, and there's a wealth of information about very serious incidents. And then this OxyContin case, which has reached the newspapers, where there was malicious, deliberate falsification of a medicine, people died. Is your department functioning? Do you review these matters? How many matters are there which do not come to our attention because you don't tell us and the newspapers don't disclose them? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to mention Senator Specter's requested a hearing on OxyContin, and I think he's absolutely right in that. We will have one. Your request.